Of course I forgot to make an intro. Why would I actually make an intro when I'm supposed to make an intro? Alright, let's just get this out of the way. This is basically just a very long, prolonged, probably talking too much, but hopefully detailed analysis of the IXO Indycar diecast versus the old Greenlight diecast. So, yeah, I filmed this a week ago, so why don't I just actually, show you what I filmed? We should probably do a whole me unboxing this thing, just so I figure out how to actually unbox this diecast. Because I'm not completely sure how I want to do this, because this is all cardboard here, but then this piece here is plastic. So if I take this off, then it leaves me with this piece and the gray piece. I would like to kind of keep the box. However, because we have this box inside now, we're kind of fine. We kind of don't have to do that. I'm not necessarily sure how I should do that, though. We'll have to take this off. I think we have to, no matter what. That front wing's also looking very low, and I'm hoping that's not an issue. So let's attempt to open this diecast. It's like Hot Wheels, but I've never been able to actually keep up Hot Wheel in the box. There we go. Oh, that might have been perfect, actually. Whatever I did right there, I need to constantly do. There we go, right there. That's how we're gonna do this every single time. So there is the box out. Look at that. And we kept it all together. That's lovely. I don't know where I'm going to put the box, but it's there. Here is... Is something inside of here? I don't know. Hold up. Oh! Okay, you know what? Good job. I like that. That's smart. Thank you, IXO. They thought about this. And this is actually a very nice quality box. It's not just cheap cardboard, it's like a decent, I mean, it's still paper or whatever, or cardboard or whatever, but it's like a quality one. It looks pretty nice though, the box. I do actually enjoy this. I still wish we got the trading card, but honestly, if we get these boxes, I won't be complaining. That's pretty nice right there. Okay, I've waited for it to be like more sunset now, for it to kind of glisten over the diecast, because it looks a lot better now, actually, like this. So let's actually talk about the actual diecast itself, perhaps. So let's just go over it, kind of, and they'll do some comparisons and just talk about it as well. So, here is the diecast. First thing noticed, this wing has been a big worry of mine. It looks like it's pushing off, it looks like it's under the wheel when you put it down. And it's maybe not, but there's also a bit of a Lionel offset, not offset, like unbalanced, whatever. I don't know what's going on there. Anyways, but here's the thing. These wings, they're plastic. It's like that diecast, it's like that Indycar metal. Not metal, sorry, whatever it's called. You know what, when I get the diecast, I'm gonna go find the diecast quickly to show you. Because it's kind of this plastic piece that Indycar used to use for the, or Greenlight I should say, used for the 2017 body kit cars. It's kind of like that plastic again. And same with the rear wing as well, which I don't really like that. I like a more of a metal diecast chassis, but it does kind of help if you would need to readjust something like this wing needs to be adjusted. It looks good like this. When it looks like this, it looks good. A little off-centered. So I wonder if I can... Did I just break it? No. I got real close to breaking it, though. That's the issue with this. Like, that's not... That's the issue with these things. It's very easy to break off like that. I gave it a little force, maybe like 30% of my actual force I can give it, and it's doing that. And that's why the metal is better. And I would hope they can find some sort of light metal, because this is not a light diecast by any means. It's a decently heavy one, but I think the rear wing's fine. Let's first try to find a way to not stabilize, but kind of strengthen that front wing, because it can become very loose at times. But let me go get that that body kit car I was looking for. Okay, now that I've got it, here's the Kimball car. It's this piece right here I'm talking about, and this one actually isn't even that bad. See how it's very like solidified, very stable? You can move it, but you can't move it that much. You cannot do that with these things. These things move very easily. So I'm hoping whatever material was used here, because it's not diecast metal. This whole car here is diecast metal, even the wing, except for these bumpers right here, and the bumper piece connecting them. If we can use this type of material for the front wing, That's better because you can still kind of adjust if you need to, but it's also more strong, and it helps avoid, even if you do break that off, you can kind of hot glue that back together. I've seen people have these broken wings, and you just can't really hot glue them back together. So that's a bit of a worrying concern there. Other concern was the rear tires. So they do have different size tires now, which is a nice detail, thank you. The Greenlight cars do not have that. The other Alex below here, they're always basically the same tire. Maybe they aren't even. They look like they're the exact same size, but they aren't actually. I'm wrong about that. But anyways, width-wise, I think they might be. Anyways, both width and height or whatever, the entire diecast, or the entire tire is bigger on the rear. And it's kind of pushing very close to that kind of fender looking piece here we always have. But even when it's pushed off, it doesn't look like it's stopping that much. I think that's why they make these suspensions so loose, is that you can do that. But yeah, the rear wing, plastic maybe, but it definitely feels stronger than it does on the front. And that's fine. Honestly, I'm not too worried about that. I think it'd be better off being metal. Hopefully IXO makes this an all-metal car soon. That just makes everything better, but for now, it is fine. I love the inside wheel decals here. Previously, we did not have that, but we'll get a full comparison later on. Other additions that we have now, of course, are the wings, or sorry, not wings. Jeez, come on, I can do this. The mirrors, only the 118s used to have that. The inside of the diecast is actually detailed and has the correct steering wheel, Greenlight. Everything else is pretty much the same. I don't know if they have decals on the inside of the wing or the aero screen. Not that I see of. Feels on both sides, as you can see, because of course it changes per racetrack. So you can see that little detail that of course Greenlight also missed out on. And actually, interesting note, Greenlight puts it on a different side because they go off the speedway kit. This is off road course kit. Which speedway or which road course, I couldn't tell you because some of them are different and some of them are correct, I think. I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure they will rotate, so that's why they always have that. That's pretty cool. And fully rubber tires. I like that, definitely do. Even Lionel's doing that now, so Greenlight definitely fell behind on that. They kind of had rubber wheels, but they're not really rubber. They're still kind of like a plastic. These should actually work better for my actual track I have now, for my duct tape tracks, because I think these will grip up better. So if I have a little bit of an elevation change just due to the cardboard, that works out better for me. Anyways, we're not gonna do a whole sponsor thing because of course this thing still gets reviewed. Probably shouldn't have done that, but here it's kind of just a comparison of the Speedway kit and the road course kit. Just for kind of a Greenlight comparison, what I should do is I'm actually going to also compare it to an oval kit car, so maybe we'll just get the Larson out of the box as well. So why don't I just go film the intro real quick for that video, because I'm gonna need that diecast. And yeah, we'll do that because you can just kind of see the comparisons and the differences between the two molds. But I also want to compare the actual Speedway kit to the new Speedway kit. But let's just quickly go over some of the differences. Of course, road course kit, we have the rear wing, the front wing, and then the mirrors. That's really the only major difference between those companies. And now, the front suspension, I was told was a bit more detailed. It is. There's a couple more tie rods and rear axle rods, whatever you want to call those. I'd say the rear is pretty similar. I definitely see the detail much more in the IXO, and I will agree that's kind of cool. But there's definitely still some defects that need to be changed. Then again, it is their first year. I will be optimistic. That's my goal. The other thing is the aero screen implementation. I think they did a much better job. But again, Greenlight did kind of do exactly what Indycar had to do with adding this aero screen onto the previous mold diecast. Understood. IXO kind of just came in and put the aero screen on the car anyways. They didn't need the original car. Because with the original car, I think this thing maybe would have looked a little different. It'd be interesting though. But yeah, let's get this Larson car out of the box just so we can compare the two oval kits. There we go. So I'm luckily 2 for 2 actually on getting cars that roll. This was a big issue that IXO screwed up definitely this year, was the rollability. So let me just show that real quick. First here is the Greenlight, and then here is the IXO. Oh, those actually were pretty similar. I thought it was a bit worse. I don't have like I need like an even PR. Or use this Lego. I can't use this Lego box. Where's the pillow box? Here it is. I'm just gonna use this to push the same force. So the Greenlight obviously is gonna roll better. One, because it has these kind of more plastic rims. There's less friction. I don't want to explain the physics of that. I did grade 11 and grade 12 physics. I could have gone to engineering. I went to business school instead, kids. But that's one thing there. But yeah. So obviously the rollability isn't the greatest, but they still roll. Although this one pushes on the ground, I feel like. I think I'm scraping the ground a bit with this car. So I need a slight issue, and I think it comes with this. These little studs right here. I don't care about that. I don't know what that is, but I don't need that. That might be what's affecting a lot of these cars and being able to roll, is whatever those little studs are right there on the bottom. And I kind of just want to get down here to check that. They're really close. They could be touching the ground as you put force on it. So it's actually the way that the tire's rolling a little bit. Every little bit, the car rolls down a bit, and I don't know if people can see that. If I'm putting a little light, if I'm light with my hand and moving the diecast, it's fine. If you put pressure on it though, it's pushing this piece I was talking about earlier, this kind of, what you call it? Fender. It's pushing against that tire again, and it's forcing the entire chassis down. That was one thing I talked about earlier. That's maybe a worry, but it's fine. It shouldn't be too big of an issue. Anyways, let's actually compare the two molds. On the front end, this Greenlight mold is a lot more straight, cleaner. The IXO one looks very wonky in a way. It looks painted almost, because the lines just aren't. Maybe it's just the way that the decal was placed. It doesn't look as straight. From that angle, it looks better. And when I feel it, it is straight. It's just the way that the decals are placed that it makes it look so much more weird, and not weirder, but it's what's the word I'm looking for? It messes with your eyes a bit, how it actually looks. I think that may have just been because they always have that little middle piece that even Greenlight has. This kind of middle piece of the front wing that's always standing. I don't know why it stands out for aerodynamic purposes, obviously, but I don't know the exact reason. That and just the way that the decal was placed, it looks a bit odd. It's fine. And then the wing also looks weird because you have these new added bits on the rear of the front wing, again for more detail, but it does hurt at times. Sometimes, especially with these 180 or 164s, let's be honest, they're not gonna be collector's items. I don't think they're much more for play. I 100% agree with that. They're gonna be much more for play than the 118s. So honestly, I think IXO could, if they wanted, they could dial back the quality. Not the quality, so keep the quality up. Jeez. Dial back on some of the very minute details. I know we're going for detail, but we don't need to be that deep into detail, just for this situation. Yeah, maybe this wasn't the greatest diecast to use because it's very busy. This is a very busy diecast, but yeah. Anyways, continuing on with our comparisons. Alternatively, we go to the side here. Obviously, we have the mirrors that I talked about that the Greenlight does not have. The 118s do have it, but they didn't do it for the 164s because they probably broke off very easily. However, this is diecast metal. So I don't know why we're making these mirrors here metal, and then we're not able to make the front wing metal. This is even a stronger, this isn't metal here. Or maybe it is. I don't think it is though. But it's still stronger than what we got over here with this. So I really don't know what happened. Maybe I have a very weak front end, or front wing pillow, and it's just my diecast. I don't know. But I hope that gets fixed out, because that is a big worry of mine. The rear wing is also not metal, but it feels a lot stronger. It won't pop out though, I don't think. And even if it does, once again, you have that thing where it pops out from the bottom. You can just hot glue that thing back in right there where that screw is. That screw sometimes always comes loose on the Greenlights. It might still on the IXO, although I've seen people it breaks right kind of in the middle part, and that makes it a lot harder to fix. That's when metal's better, because metal won't break off of metal unless it's like a seal like that. Detail on the bottom actually is pretty similar, maybe a couple extra lines for the IXO. I hope we get the DIN numbers, because that was always kind of a cool thing to get. I don't know if we'll get that. Who knows? Hopefully, but let's stay optimistic. That's my favorite word of the day, optimistic. Shark fins are pretty similar. Again, a bit more detail, just kind of with how the placement of the actual diecast is. You can kind of see more of the separation of different pieces and parts. And that's actually better to see with this oval kit, or sorry, road course kit card. Jeez, I'm struggling today. Just with these pieces here, you can see that those are obviously different pieces of the car itself, and not the diecast. Although I think they probably were actually as the diecast of the diecast, different pieces, the parts of the diecast as well. And you can kind of see it a little bit there with that piece there of the Indycar. You know what? That might actually just be manufacturer stuff, because they're all different. I don't know. I couldn't tell you. But very much similar again. The top camera pod area has a little bit more detail as well. Kind of just with the rear here, it kind of floats open a bit to where the aero screen is. I think it's just, yeah, it's fully solid and filled with the Greenlight version. The aero screen on the IXO card looks a lot scarier, a lot more angry, and a lot more detailed. This, the Greenlight one was exactly how Indycar put it on. It was adding it on to a very old mold or chassis for Indycar's sakes, and just making it work. And honestly, it does work. But IXO definitely outdid themselves on the actual detail part. It looks very aggressive, and it looks good actually. Like I feel like I'm looking at a fighter jet right now when I'm looking at it like that. This kind of looks like a copy of my homework, and don't make it look obvious. Anyways, other than that though, very much similar diecast, like a bit more detail, but that's always what IXO was going for with this entire mold. I would have been interested to see if Greenlight had a competition. I wish they would have been doing this the same year. I honestly wish we'd still Greenlight around and we could have competition, because I honestly feel like with IXO and Greenlight, it would actually make them better. I think they would push each other a little bit, but they would also look for stupid little cheapskates to get out of, and that'd be the only thing I'm worried about. But honestly, I think like Greenlight benefited from the Auto World rivalry they had in 2014. I honestly feel like they did improve after that. So I don't know. I feel like if Greenlight was around for a couple more years and pushed IXO, they could kind of improve. I'm worried now that IXO won't improve. Even if they see these little issues, I don't know if they will. I hope they will, and I expect them, but I have that little slimmer of hope that a little slimmer of realization that they may not, and we're gonna have to deal with that. This actually looks kind of cool. I think I kind of cooked with this. Not really, it's very basic, but it works. So let me just talk about some stuff real quick, okay? So, originally when I bought this, I actually didn't think about buying from Toronto Motorsports because I thought there'd be taxes. There isn't, I don't think, or not taxes, sorry, tariffs. There's obviously taxes. But anyways, let me just get the price points out here exactly. From what I saw from my research, it was definitely cheaper to buy in Canada than it was for the US. However, US does have free shipping. I don't know exactly how that works. So we're gonna avoid all the shipping and everything. We're just gonna go off of the base price. Okay, are we good with that? I think we're good with that. Cool, awesome. So let's just start with Canada because of course I am from Canada. The diecast themselves come basically only from Toronto Motorsports. That's really the only place in Canada, other than maybe at the Toronto race, but I bet you it'll be Gutswear and Toronto Motorsports are the only ones that are selling it. Anyways, that's really the only place you can get them in Canada, which kind of sucks. There's obviously a couple like little off places that maybe have little pop-up shops, but they don't have the full selection. Usually Toronto Motorsports comes out, cooks, and has the whole collection. Usually available from the day they get it. The only one they didn't have this time again was Marco Andretti, which is kind of disappointing. But it's fine, we'll move on. I can probably find it, I can get on Amazon for like 25 bucks. Again, 25 bucks is ridiculous, and that's definitely not the price of them in Canada. That's just them being dumb and annoying, and scalpers being, well, scalpers. So, to begin, the price point for the Canadian outlet of Toronto Motorsports was, to be specific, $11.49 Canadian. What that is in American, I couldn't tell you. Like, I don't know at all what that difference is. I'll put it up on the screen if I remember. In other places, I used 3 other stores to kind of figure out the price points for American stores. So for Gutswear, they had it for $11.95 plus tax, obviously. These are all plus tax. I'm not going to include tax. $11.95 American, though, I believe. Spoiler diecast. I actually don't know what the number is in American because I wrote it down as Canadian for some reason. It's $17 Canadian. So right there, that's about a $5.50 markup. Most because it's tariffs probably, and they have to ship into Canada. But already, Canadians, no. For actual Americans, it's probably again around that kind of $12 mark, similar to what the Indycar store themselves have. So, in that case, it is theoretically cheaper to buy just the diecast itself from Toronto Motorsports in Canada. I'm guessing that's a tariff-related issue, or just price points and being dumb. But you have to pay for shipping, and that's when shipping gets so dumb, because most American outlets have free shipping. God rest your souls. I wish Canada had that. It would save me so much money, and I'd probably have double the diecast I do have now. It's ridiculous shipping. I paid like $100 alone. That's the price point stuff out of the way. I want to compare these boxes kind of a little bit, because this is an interesting point, and I always talked about this a bit. Especially with people I kind of discuss these things with just all the time, is the box themselves. Honestly, IXO did a lot better with this box. And this Greenlight box now is so bland. It's not unique. Look at this thing. There's just nothing to it. You have square. It looks like a scatter plot. I don't even know if people know what that means. It looks like a Cartesian plane. I mean, actually, so I shouldn't be saying anything. The IXO box is also a straight Cartesian plane, and it is legitimately just boxes. I bet you that's 1 centimeter apart. I got out of elementary school, and all of a sudden, these come back. Or not elementary school, high school. Jeez, sorry. That's dumb. However, IXO did do a much better job in the actual presentation of the box. Like, this part still is a lot more unique than just the bland stuff here that Greenlight had every single time. They had they always changed the color for the driver on the bottom here. And of course they had the trading card. The trading card was a big seller for me. Not big seller, like I wouldn't just buy the trading card, but it was kind of a nice little thing to have. It was just like the Authentics. Obviously I've survived now without the trading cards and Authentics, but still, it hurts. IXO has these boxes, and honestly, the boxes look really good, as I talked about earlier. Those actually really nice, especially for me, not having any more room on the old shelf. So I think they actually did a bit better there. And having this kind of papered to plastic thing is actually better than this new Greenlight box. Before, we had this Greenlight box. Now, this doesn't look that different, I bet. You're probably thinking, that's the same thing. No, this is a lot more of a heavy-duty plastic. And when you went to open this box the way I do, which is cut the bottom and then cut kind of up to the sides a little bit, this thing would cut you so much, it was ridiculous. This thing was nice and light and soft. Like, also the heaviness difference is massive. This was also very light. I liked this. This was better. I don't know why they left this. They gave us these hard-duty ones, which was actually why I was really happy when we got this little cardboard one. So that's the difference just in the box itself. If we go to the back, now theoretically, now we both have definitions of the drivers on the back. One's on a trading card and one isn't, though. I do actually like this one better. The font and everything looks better. It's also on a bigger area so I can see it. Everything is still kind of the same, though. You still have the driver number, their hometown, their birthday. The other difference is that they have a residence, which for a fact, for most IndyCar drivers, is likely Indianapolis. Unless like you have like a one-off like Kyle Larson, who will be like Charlotte, North Carolina. But still, it doesn't matter that much. Everything else is kind of just the exact same thing. You have all your licensing stuff on the bottom that no one cares about. Personally, once again, I feel like IXO did a bit better. And in general, I really don't want to admit this because I've always been kind of a big Greenlight fan, but I really do feel like they did a better job. For their first year, they did a pretty good job. Like, I know they had some people to work off in some previous work, and I know they've had some past experiences with, like, you know, the auto world attempt and whatever. But I think they nailed it. For this being their first year of IndyCar diecast, this was very well done, and I give credit to IXO for that. There are flaws, obviously. And I shouldn't, like, just think that this is going to come out and be perfect. I think the flaws that they have are maybe sometimes dumb at first. But they're easily, I think, fixable. Like, it's nothing, like, extremely hard. It's not like it's not like a Lionel issue where they're just screwing up the decals. It's like just making a wing metal instead of plastic. Maybe that's a bit of a imbalance of the diecast issue. If that's the case, it makes sense. Just find a way to strengthen a couple things. But yeah, absolutely. I think IXO has absolutely nailed this thing out of the park for their first year. I'm still going to be skeptical, and I will not lie. Even with Greenlight, I think I was maybe giving them a little bit easier of a time because I was always collecting 164s. And obviously their 164s aren't the most detailed thing, but they're not supposed to be. They're mostly for playing around. Like, I'll put this thing on my fucking rug and I'll just drive it around a little bit. It's fine. The IXO one, I'm going to be worried about doing that. And every time I'm going to have that, I'm going to be thinking, I hope I don't break this. So I should probably buy a backup diecast of every single one I think I'm going to break soon. Maybe when Toronto Motorsports is like done for this year and they put all their cars on sale, I'll buy a couple extra IXOs just in case. The chassis themselves, pretty similar. I think, honestly, you got pretty much the same. Bit more detail, I think, still on those wheels. I like to be able to see the Firestone logo. But yeah. Now, the other difference I was talking about was the difference on the racetrack. Like, let's just say I had a stop motion. I've had these two cars in, and I was hoping this wouldn't be the case. But honestly, I think these things kind of stand out. Like, obviously, this is a different road course kit, or there's different kits. Maybe I should have it like this. So if they're like this on the racetrack, honestly, maybe it wouldn't look that bad. I think you would notice it for sure with the tires and everything. But I don't think it's as bad as I thought it was going to be. Even with auto, I don't think it was honestly that bad, but it was definitely noticeable what maker it was. Honestly, this is a really good start. I'm happy with this. We got a lot of diecasts to go. We're going to get some reviews out of the way. We are back. And also, I was going to make a whole segment about not having a podium pack and stuff. They've nailed it. We're getting a fucking podium pack, boys. I'm swearing a lot more now for some reason. That's what work does to you. But yeah, I am so glad we're getting a podium pack. That was a big win on IXO. That's a moneymaker for them. We're getting an Indy 500 win. So we're going to have 3 different Pillows. Not different. They're all the exact same car. Just 2 on one kit and 2 on, and 1 on that kit. We'll have 2 in that kit when Pillow wins the championship at Nashville. And they're going to have that car race in Nashville, I bet. Can we get the Ridgeline car, please, next year? IXO, come on. Just do it for us, please. But honestly, I feel like IXO can kind of cook, boys. Hopefully, I hope the podium pack kind of looks the same for the box, actually. I think that box is really good. I hope they don't have a box where it's like stacked on top of each other. We don't want that. What else do I want to say? A couple other things. I hope we get some more differentiation in the diecast. Like, we didn't have that many cars. Like, honestly, we had this car, the Andretti, and this is it. I'm hoping we have there's a few more. When I made that guide video, we're supposed to have a lot more, I think, honestly. We're supposed to have a Simpson, but I think the Simpson got canceled. One more of both the Newgarden and the McLaughlin. We're supposed to get another McLaren. There's no Andretti's, basically, which is ridiculous. I don't know what they were thinking there. I think because they didn't announce their sponsors or whatever. There's a lot of cars missing. But, again, that's a kink they're going to hopefully work out next year. Even later this year. Let's have a second wave. Let's call this wave 1. I don't really want to spend another $175, but I might. Okay? I might. So that's it. That's all I got. Don't forget to comment, like, and subscribe for more IXO and maybe some later on some Greenlight diecast reviews. We'll see. I have this Joseph Newgarden car. I guess I'm not reviewing that though. Never mind. But yeah, I'm hoping this is a start of something, and hopefully they will stay for a while and not leave us in the dark and screwed over like Motorsports games.